Hello, I'm Neil Nunes with the BBC News. The U.S. Coast Guard says it's taking currents and sea changes into account in doubling the size of the area to find a tourist submersible missing since Sunday near the wreck of the Titanic in the North Atlantic. A French vessel with a robot capable of reaching the 4-kilometer deep seabed is joining the effort. Carl Nasman is in Boston.
You can really imagine this being a lot like finding a needle in a haystack. They're looking not only at the top of the haystack, but all the way down below, 2.5 miles underneath the surface of the ocean. There are now some remote operated vehicles that are capable of reaching those depths, and they're looking high and low. We know that this air is running low, probably about a half a day or less. We're looking towards tomorrow morning local time, and we think the air on board may begin to be running out. But already, because of that short amount of time, we're seeing some rescue materials and equipment being put into place. There isn't enough time to wait to do that once they find the vessel. They have to get them in place now.
The UN envoy to Afghanistan says it'll be almost impossible for the international community to recognize the Taliban government while it limits women's rights. Rosa Otunbayeva told the UN Security Council that decrees restricting women's rights were highly unpopular among the Afghan population. A court in Moscow is due to hear an appeal by the Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich against the extension of his pre-trial detention. He's the first American journalist to be accused of spying since the Cold War, Steve Rosenberg reports.
It's nearly 3 months since Evan Gershkovich was arrested in Russia. The Wall Street Journal reporter, an American citizen, has been accused of espionage, a charge that he and his employer categorically reject, as does the US government. It has declared Mr. Gershkovich wrongfully detained. Last week, the US House of Representatives voted unanimously for a resolution calling for his release. But that is largely symbolic. It will have little influence on a Moscow judge.
Steve Rosenberg. Ukraine's President Zelensky says he's disappointed that NATO will not be inviting his country to the alliance at next month's summit in Lithuania. Mr. Zelensky said the prospect of joining the alliance kept Ukraine motivated, adding that security guarantees were not an acceptable substitute to full membership.
Negative reaction. Stoltenberg knows my position. This invitation is just words. We are not beggars. It's not about going cap in hand. It's about us making NATO stronger, and everyone knows perfectly that we will be the most powerful member on the eastern flank. We've proven it already.
World News from the BBC. An explosion at a barbecue restaurant in the northwestern Chinese city of Yichuan has killed 31 people. 7 others are receiving medical treatment. 1 is critical. Stephen MacDonald sent this report from Beijing.
Local television footage has shown a huge hole which had been blasted through the front of the barbecue restaurant in Incheon, the capital of Ningxia region. And video posted online captured the chaotic scene outside, with dazed people, some not wearing shirts, standing or sitting amongst the broken glass strewn across the road. Earlier, a large explosion had killed dozens inside. According to the local government, staff had tried to change a valve after smelling a gas leak. Fire and rescue services say they sent more than 100 officers and 20 vehicles to the scene of the accident.
A U.S. Air National Guardsman charged with 6 counts of leaking military secrets has pleaded not guilty in a federal court in Massachusetts. Jack Teixeira was arrested in April for allegedly arranging the most damaging leak of classified documents in a decade. Prosecutors say he displayed files on the messaging app Discord that quickly spread across the internet. Turkey's central bank is holding its first policy meeting today since President Erdogan won re-election last month. It's an opportunity for the newly appointed governor Hafize Gaye Erkan to raise interest rates, contrary to Mr. Erdogan's unorthodox economic vision. His insistence on lower rates has seen rampant inflation. The United States has become only the second country after Singapore to allow lab-grown meat to be offered to consumers. The authorities granted permission to Upside Foods and Good Meat to produce the chicken grown directly from animal cells after reviewing safety and making sure product labels were not misleading. The two firms say they'll have their product available soon. BBC News.